Welcome back. I'm Vince Perryman, and you're watching Legalese. Joining us on our show is attorney Angela Lawson of the law offices of J. Vincent Perryman, and we are discussing estate planning. Angela, before the break, we touched on what documents are included in an estate plan, and we were starting to discuss, why it's important that you have an attorney draft those documents. Because in today's world, with the internet, I can go out there and I can get one of these documents and fill in the blanks and then sign it. Won't that be good enough?
Well, that's a common misconception. There are a lot of forms out on the internet that make it easy to draft a will yourself, or one of these other power of attorneys or your advance directives. However, these are forms that are created, they're very generic, and they're not going to meet all of the needs that you want to be met. They're not catered to your personal estate, and there's going to be holes in their complicated language, and you probably want someone to go over them with you to make sure that you know exactly what it is that these forms are having you do. In the end, they might not be doing what you want them to do, just because they are so generic and not tailored to your personal estate.
Yeah, and the one key thing with a lot of estate planning that people don't understand is it varies from state to state depending on where you're residing. Now, as far as what do each one of the documents do? What really does a will do?
Well, a will appoints a personal representative to manage your estate. It will carry out your wishes and to do what you will with your with all of your assets. And this personal representative is going to act as a fiduciary. They're going to gather all of your assets and your property together. They're going to make sure that all of your creditors are paid properly, and it's also going to make sure that all of your beneficiaries are paid to your liking. Making a will in Tennessee, there's many requirements that have to be met, and some of those things are not going to be clear on the forms that you find on the internet.
Well, and one misconception that I always see is somebody assumes that as long as they had a will notarized, then that's good enough, and they don't understand that you got a certain amount of witnesses and certain things that makes a will valid or not valid in that. Now, with a living will or advance directives, what does that document do?
A living will or an advance directive, it takes and it asks you questions like, what kind of quality of life do you want to lead? Let's say you're in a car accident and you have to be resuscitated. A living will can let someone know if whether or not you do want to be resuscitated or not. It also can spell out if you want to have artificial nutrition or hydration, if you want to be on life support. A lot of people have very strong feelings about this, and if you don't have some sort of living will or advance directive, then someone else is going to be making these decisions for you. It's not something that people are comfortable talking about a lot of the time, so a lot of people don't know what kind of personal wishes that you have. So this advance directive will spell out exactly how you want your health care to be planned in the event that you can't make those decisions yourself.
Okay. And then the power of attorney for health care, what does that document do?
Well, this one is it helps people make decisions based on what kind of treatment you're going to have if you can't make these decisions. There's two different kinds. You can have it a springing power of attorney or
it's non-springing.
Non-springing, okay. Yeah. And that means it either comes into effect immediately or it waits until you are incapacitated to come into effect. And some people want one and some people want the other. In the end, it's helps those people make your healthcare decisions, your day-to-day decisions regarding your healthcare, should you need those to be made.
Okay, and that's basically the same thing the power of attorney for financial does, just in the financial realm. Is that correct?
Right. The financial power of attorney helps take care of all of your bills and anything that you would need somebody to care for your assets and pay your bills and make sure all your debts are paid and things like that.
Okay, and with back to sort of the springing and the non-springing on it, the way that springing operates is if you're incapacitated, then it comes into effect. But the non-springing, it's correct that it's just automatically in effect at the time it's signed.
Correct.
Okay. And with that, I guess, are you, do I just need to list one person on there, or do I need to list one person, and then if they can't serve, should I list someone else?
Well, it's always better to have a backup. You want to list someone, and you want to talk to that person and let them know that you're listing them as this power of attorney. I mean, so they know that in the event that it comes into play, that they have to make these decisions. And if it comes, if they are not available for some reason, then you definitely want to have a backup, because if they're not available, then the backup is you don't have anything. So.
Okay. And then the other area of this in the documents you said were living trust, and those tend to be a little bit more of a complicated document, but they basically function like a will, just without having to go through a public administration. That's basically what that is, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, with on the living trust, because this is always, is that set up where there's, I think when people come into our office, they sometimes get confused and they hear the word trust and they think that it's set up where somebody else sets this up for them, and then there's someone managing their funds and maybe doling out money at times. And I think the one thing with the living trust that always is important to point out is that it winds up being a document where you are the trustee for your own trust, so it's kind of a fiction that's just used to avoid the public administration. So the other thing, I guess, and you've made this point before, and I think it's a good time to reiterate it, is these are really important documents, and you need to have someone that's knowledgeable in this area. And when we return from our break, we'll discuss more with Angela about how to find a knowledgeable estate planner. Please stay with us.